Hello guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to this review of the ETC list from Infernal Dwarfs. So yeah, I will go one after the other and just give you my view on the list, what's the concept, what I find strange, what I find good, and so on. We start with Columbia. He picked an Overlord with Arrogance, so an Overlord on foot, Gauntlet, and then he has so 4-up ward save in combat. What I fear with the combat Overlord on foot, generally speaking, is that he's not fighty enough to get into big challenges. We saw, like in the Ogre Khan, a lot of Great Khan. For example, the Great Khan I think is quite better than this guy as fighting for a similar price. So I think, in my view, the Overlord is slightly, yeah, I don't know exactly about this role, but I'm not really convinced by this choice. I must say I don't have so many experience with Arrogance, so maybe this has some impact as well. I don't know how good it is, to be honest with you, because I never played it before. So yeah, we have a fighty Overlord. Then he went Adept Occultism of Nezipkash. Vizier BSB with Zelamante Cash, so we have most likely a unit. Just checking which unit is going to go, with some blunderbuss unit, most likely to protect them from the stomp and impact hits. With the breast weapon, Potion of Strength. Okay, Lamassu, so we have double adept basically with 4 to 5 spell, and then he has another adept, so 3 adept, which is a choice that you see sometimes with ID. Obviously it's getting quite expensive towards the 900 points, so it's quite expensive, but you have a very nice choice of spell, basically. With the Book of Arcane for Witchcraft, why not? I think I would have put the Book of Arcane on the Lamassu, because if you check the spell that you have at your disposal, basically the Witchcraft spell are not too expensive to cast. Maybe Raven's Wing is a bit harder, but then you have Deceptive Glamour and Twisted Effigy that are really good and easy to cast. When you check the spell from the Lamassu Scholar, basically has so Flaming Sword, Wall of Iron. This kind of spell are hard to cast, high value, so I think the Book of Arcane Mastery would have been better on the Lamassu rather than the Conjurer, basically. Then he used 2 units of Blunderbuss, but I see only 1 Bastion in the list. I think Blunderbuss, in my opinion, are basically you need a Bastion to make them work properly, because if not, you will find hard to get 20 shots. You don't want to play them in a line of 10 wide, so it's getting kind of hard if you shoot only on 2 ranks. So I think they are, yeah, you get the best from them when getting the Bastion with them. 20 levies with both, so basically to add some tokens, a small slave unit. 12 Enforcer with not a blunderbuss, so quite a lot of blunderbuss in this list. Basically has 52 blunderbuss, which is a lot. Bastion, Chaff Piece, and 2 War Machines. Okay. My concern here is lack of combat power. I think if you check a little bit what you have as combat power, you have 1 unit of Great Weapon Enforcer, which are not bad. I must say they are not bad at all, but yeah, they are going to strike last. It's only 4 armor save, so they can get damage before they go, and then the rest basically is an Overlord within a unit of Blunder that has to fight. And other than that, he hasn't really anything else. So he has to do a lot with all these Blunderbuss. And with Blunderbuss you shoot only 12, meaning when you get within 12 you need to do a lot of damage, and then he's relying basically on the artillery pieces to help him as well do some damage. So yeah, a list that might struggle to get secondary objective in my view. Denmark, Prophet of Luga, Master of Alchemy, okay, for the ward save, another Luga, Adept Occultism, and he has Immortal. So this is quite interesting, because basically you have 3 characters that might go within the Immortal, playing fully on the fact that they are bodyguard, and this is quite good with Zelamante Cash as well. So you have 2 4 ward save character, and then you have also a Vizier with what does he has? It's a 2-up, I guess. Yeah, it's a 2-up. plus the breast weapon, making the immortal unit quite solid. And I definitely like the combination of alchemy and occultism in synergy with immortal, because immortal basically you have the access to 6-up ward save and a 3-up armor save, meaning with alchemy you can go to 1-up armor save, and with occultism you can go to 4-up ward save, which is really good. So I think this is a very strong unit of immortal with these 3 characters, a very solid unit. Then 30 great weapon guy with flaming standard to play with alchemy, so this is a good choice. 23 flintlock, interesting as well. So yeah, I'm quite convinced by the setup of these 3 solid units. Then he picked 10 enforcers with banner of speed, so very mobile. Double rocket battery, okay, to have an answer against the big targets. 2 piece of chaff and 2 slingshots. So yeah, war machine that are really good against monster, against single models. Because yeah, this might be an issue basically with immortals and no character that are defensive. You might be scared sometimes to get challenged by some strong character. So I think this is a good way to at least say to all the big single models that they cannot really come and challenge you. So this is I think a well-built list, because identify the fact that you want to punish the single model with them, plus also don't forget that you get some interesting spell, the spike and the lash as well from alchemy, that are really good against single model. So yeah, I mean the spike not always, because if single model have a high toughness, resilience, it gets hard to wound, but you also have some tools from occultism like the toxic breath to do some things. So I think it's interesting setup. He also paid for the additional channel, so why not? Quite interesting list, I think. I'm curious about the enforcers, because what he might lack a little bit in this list is the projection. Going forward might be difficult for this list, because everything is kind of slow moving. You have 4 combat units. That can also, you have some shots, here you have flintlock and here you have blunderbuss obviously, but I don't know if the enforcer are the best choice or if you wouldn't prefer something else. It's worth noticing the fact that he's completely immune to war machines, because he has no big target in the list. This is definitely something he considered, I think, when designing the list. So yeah, quite solid. Germany, Nezib Cash on a Bastion, Adept Pyro. With Flintlock I have the Bull, solid choice. Then we have a Master Alchemy Ashuruk, so that can get also the Blaze attribute, which is interesting. With Alchemist Alloy, okay. Then we get an Overlord on foot, Arrogance, Gauntlet, Death Cheater. So again we see some similar character than the one we saw before. A Vizier with a 2-up, MR2 and Binding. And then we have unit of blunderbuss with the Bastion that go together. 16 flintlock and then 20 levies to add some tokens. And you have no seat of authority, so nobody goes in there, just basically to add some token and add some shots. 18 Lugar with great weapon as an impact unit. A double Titan mortar, which is versatile choice of war machine, because basically you get the area against a high number unit, and you also get the high strength for monsters. And then you have a Kalim Titan, Combat Titan, and a piece of chaff. So yeah, I would say a solid list. Yeah, quite solid list. As always, I'm questioning about the how effective is the Overlord with Arrogance, but there are definitely some nice options against. I think in particular about the army that don't have a BSB, you can really sometimes trap them with Arrogance, so that might be a way to use him properly. But then yeah, very solid list. I think you have a solid Bastion unit with Battle of Speed that has a higher potential high range. Then you have some flintlocks to add some shots, double Titan mortar, so definitely range damage wise you can do quite a lot, and you also have pyro to cast some additional spells, so definitely it's quite scary from range, and then solid in combat. So I think that's some, until now what we saw, that's something you expect from ID, to be very solid and also do some range damage. Poland list, Prophet of Ashok, Seat of Authority, Master of Pyro. You have a Vizier who has some the breast weapon and also the grinding volcanic embrace D3 with 3 up armor save and great weapon, an adept witchcraft with ranger boots. So this, I think it's going in combination with Seat of Authority. You are giving an additional march range to the vassal guys, and with ranger boots you get march 14 totally. So you can chaff with this model, which is kind of nice because it's not too expensive. 24 blunder with Legion, so here you have Legion as well, meaning you are going to play on the combat result with Bastion. As you saw in my battle report when I played them, they are very, very solid, so if you add some static res with them, I think it's very good. 40 levies with Flaming Standards, not expensive, a big block, so always useful. 20 levies with bows, I think mostly to put the Master Pyro within. 6 Incarnate with Champion, 4 Anointed per weapon, so 2 solid combat unit that can charge quite far away for ID. Then he picked a rocket battery to punish the big target, and a Titan mortar to be quite versatile at the same time. Doubled Kadim chariot to add some additional threats, and then a piece of chaff. So quite I think an all-around list that can either, you have some tools. If you face an army that has a lot of bodies like Vermin Swarm, you have tools like the Master Pyro and also the Titan Mortar and the Blunderbuss, and also a lot of bows. Here you have 60 bows, quite a lot. And if you face an army with some bigger monster, basically you have the high strength hit from Titan Mortar, you have rocket battery, you have also Blunderbuss that are really good. You have some you can do some, I don't know what's the word, but like throwing a lot of bows at some point. You're going to do wounds even to dragon with 3 up armor save, for example, and at the same time you're giving some tokens. So interesting list, I think quite versatile, that can play against more things, and again that's something that you will often expect from ID because of the way the book is designed. It can be very solid and has tool to play against pretty much everything. Russia, double Lugar guys, you see again Immortals, so you see again the ID. You have some solid combat character that can be within Immortal and stick very long because they are hard to kill because of the 4-up ward save. So we have Master Occultist, Breath of the Brass Bull, and the automatic token given. Then we have an Adept Alchemy with a Book of Arcane Mastery. I think it's a good choice with Alchemy. MR2. We have an Overlord that has the Arrogance. So we see a lot of them. I'm surprised. With a 4-up in combat, what's a 5-up in distance, and parry. Yeah, quite solid. Strength 6. I think that's the build that we saw very often. Then we have a BSB with MR2, so we get to MR4 total, which is always nice. Binding and Dragon Staff. Dragon Staff, I think it's a very good item for ID. I used him also in the past because basically you have you can easily get reroll to wound, and a reroll to wound on a breast weapon is always really, really nice. Then double Flintlock in core, double Shake Slave. Okay, makes sense. You get some nice synergies. One time, as a reminder, with them you can give some soft cover, and this unit can give reroll the 1 to hit, which is always really nice, especially in combination with the Immortal Spear that can get some better damage output. Since you have also a fighty character, it's nice in combination. So you have a very solid Immortal unit that is not too expensive, but at the same time you have some very good character to go within, and then the rest around. And it took 2 big guys, so the first Infinite Engine that we see and the walking Kadim Titan. I think Kadim Titan is interesting in this version because it can move very fast laterally, which is something that not a lot of units within the ID book can do. So it's always nice to have a model that can move 14, has a big freedom of movement. It's always very nice. And then he picked as well a rocket battery to scare a little bit the big guy. Okay. Again, solid list, quite all around, can rely on the bodyguard, has some tools to deal with the, with solo model, that have high resilience. Also, the Rock Crusher is quite solid in combat. Then we have Serbia, an Overlord on Great Bull of Shamut. So this is the first mount that we see on the Overlord, and also Prophet. We saw some Bastion, but we didn't see any Bull or Toric Ritual until now. So the first Great Bull of Shamut with Obsidian Rock. Yeah, okay. Then we have the Prophet, Master Alchemy with Binding, Commissioner, Death Cheater, Great Weapon, okay, Cannon Binding, solid choice. 15 Citadel Guard with Flintlock, Man of Speed, 20 Ziggurat. That's, yes, a small scoring unit, not a big unit that's going to grind until a long time, but still, yeah. I've played this unit in the past. I think it's still quite good because you can lose some bodies and you're still quite solid, and bringing some strength 5 attacks from core, it's always kind of nice. 25 levies with flaming standard bows, quite an expensive. I think I would have preferred here maybe something slightly different. Like what do you expect? I think you see the way he paid this option with like flaming standard bow, spear, shield. It's like you want to do a bit of everything, but can they really fight with 25? I think it's either you go 40 and then you play all options and you're happy, or you keep them cheap and you just use the bow and maybe use them later as chaffs. That's my opinion. 5 anointed with flaming standard paired weapon to play on bodyguard rule with Commissioner. 2 pieces of artillery that are very popular in this ETC list from ID. Rocket battery, Titan mortar, so versatile combination that we saw before in Poland list. Academy Titan and 5 vassal cavalry. So we have 2 big guys. I think it makes sense to play the Academy Titan when you play Great Bull of Shamut because you can hide behind. Obviously you have to avoid sometimes divination can be master divination can be a big problem, but since it's a team tournament you can always try to avoid that in the pairing process as well. The question is always the same. If you allow this army to avoid some particular matchup, then you need to make some high point with this army. So can he really do that? I don't know. It's definitely combat oriented, but I think at the same time he paid for War Machine to be versatile. I would have expected maybe, if you play this kind of list, some additional combat power rather than artillery. I think when you see the rest of the list, especially having Great Bull, Academy Titan, Anointed, moving fast forward, would have made more sense. Switzerland list, obviously my teammate from the team, Dimitri, so he has a Commissioner BSB with Onyx Core. The first one that we see from Commissioner, 2 up, 5 up. Then he has triple adept, so Witchcraft, Lamassu, and also adept of alchemy, which is very nice combination. Full vassal levies in core, so we have a lot of bows to put some tokens, some big unit with spear and shield, some flaming standard. So 2 units that can act as chaff, 2 units that are more fighty and will play with alchemy attribute. 2 units of small incarnate, 2 units of small anointed, and the Academy Titan. So very fighty ID, maybe the most fighty ID list that we saw if you compare with the rest. So I think I check all of them. Here are some analysis. So thanks to the guy that did that. It's always interesting. It's interesting to analyze. I think for ID because it's a work in progress book. It's going to evolve. And as we can see, there are only 7 lists. Obviously, it's a small ETC, 7 lists on 13, which is not a lot. But still, you check, no, I think it's not written here, but no Toric Ritual. I think that's something that, if you check the past couple of big tournaments, there are no Toric Ritual or almost none. Sometimes 1, but since the last update, I think even less than before. And before, it was like none. Prophet of Shamut, 0 of them. That surprised me slightly because I think they are not too bad. But again, no small bull is also a concern, and yeah, it's interesting to point out. Then I was surprised by the number of war machines, quite a lot of them, especially no gunnery team. It's also interesting to point out, no gunnery team at all. and then the war machines are mostly base war machine. I think I don't know if it plays really a role, but the nice special wood that they have, and also the fact that they have accurate, are nice. It's quite more expensive, but you can rely slightly more on them, and also this extra rule that diminish a little bit the advanced capabilities of the opponent is always kind of nice. We see a slight decrease in the number of anointed if you compare with the WTC list that I analyzed in the previous video. We didn't see too much anointed star, like I used to call it. We only see 2 commissioner with the rest of the unit, and even here, like my mate Dimitri is not playing them as an anointed star. He has 2 small units of anointed, but basically the BSB can really play alone. It doesn't need to go within a unit. So it's interesting. Slightly more overlord than what I expected. All of them played on foot, so still the arrogance must be interesting if people pick that. So yeah, interesting. We have some variety. I'm still not convinced by the internal balance and also by all the item, but still I think we are getting to it. A slight comment on the ID book at the moment, the current stage. In my opinion, I think we are not so far to get a very good final version. There are some points that need to be adjusted, maybe balance wise, internally, design wise. Like I said, I think Turquoise Real is a concern, because at the moment basically it's no use at all, so that's a concern. And then the rest is pretty much fine in my opinion. I think we see a bit of everything. We saw some incarnate, some big titan. We didn't see any shooty titan. I was really disappointed with shooty titan during my WTC experience, so I'm not sure design wise that he's in a perfect spot. Maybe something can be done. We saw some tanks, only one I guess, and then some small anointed, 1 big anointed, some and then in core a little bit of everything character wise as well, like I mentioned. So I think it's, yeah, we are getting to it, but I'm curious to see first of all when we are going to be gold, because I think it started a while, this lab process for the ID, and it's time now to get a final version soon, and also what will be the final designs. I think that will be very interesting. So yeah, curious to see how these ID lists perform at the ETC, and yeah, talk to you soon on my channel. Bye bye guys.